Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome, guys, to another live stream by me, Wasim, here at Breakout Solutions and Decrypting Crypto. Welcome to another jam-packed session where we're going to go through all the latest news updates. And there's been a lot of news happening in the Bitcoin ETF world that we're going to cover today, as well as Twitter highlights, market watch, and adoption highlights. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it and see what we have. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the news highlights. I'll share my screen. All right. So first up, we've got Nasdaq refiles for Blackrock spot ETF, spot Bitcoin ETF, names Coinbase as surveillance partner. Excuse me. So as you guys would have heard us talking about in the past few weeks, BlackRock has filed for a Bitcoin spot ETF, and BlackRock usually has a very good record. There were 500 ETFs approved, only one ever rejected. However, last week we saw some news come out of the SEC saying that some of the information was unclear with the BlackRock application, as well as Fidelity and Invesco. This caused a bit of concerns in the market, so now they've actually refiled with more information. And we can see here that Nasdaq has refiled for its iShares Bitcoin Trust. The updated version includes surveillance sharing agreement with Coinbase, making it similar to other firms' application. So Nasdaq refiled the 19B/4 form for iShares Bitcoin Trust, a spot Bitcoin ETF with BlackRock at the helm. The move follows similar findings last week from CBOE Exchange. So the exchange said it reached an agreement with crypto exchange Coinbase to enter into a surveillance. Sorry, guys, I'm getting over a cold. Into a surveillance sharing agreement with an expectation that a definitive agreement will be done ahead of trading, according to the filing. The spot Bitcoin is expected to be bilateral surveillance sharing agreement between Nasdaq and Coinbase that's intended to supplement the exchange's market surveillance program. So we're seeing now a race for the first ever Bitcoin ETF in America. We're seeing now we've got BlackRock, we're seeing Fidelity, Invesco, CBOE exchange also fighting for it. So we're starting to see more activity. What will this mean? We don't know. The SEC aren't really being very forthright with their information. However, it will be good for, like I said in the past, it'll be good for Bitcoin price if the ETF comes in. It'll be bad for Bitcoin holders because it means that BlackRock will hold a lot of Bitcoin. So it'll be an interesting space to see. It's one of those things that people want, but at the same time we don't want. All right. So moving over, we've got the UK is now past, or the king of the UK, the King of England, King Charles, has actually approved a Royal Assent on the stablecoin and crypto rules, and now passing it into law. So the UK bill giving regulators the power to supervise crypto stable coins was a formal stage that makes the bill law. Royal Assent, a purely procedural step following the agreement from lawmakers, makes the Financial Services and Market Bill an act and includes measures to bring crypto and stablecoins into the scope of regulation. The bill was last week approved by Upper Chamber of Parliament. The act gives control of our financial services rulebook following the UK's exit from the EU. So as you guys know, we've spoken about the MiCA protocol or regulation that's going out through the European Union. However, Britain did exit the European Union last year, so they don't have to comply with that. And now they are looking at forging their own laws and their own rules in their land, and they are looking at potentially making Britain a hub for cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. And this is what they're trying to do here. They're trying to regulate it and trying to make sure that they can attract more and more crypto investors and crypto businesses into the UK. Next up, we have a bit of a disturbing news because Kraken has been ordered by court to disclose user data to IRS for tax compliance. So Kraken is required to provide details of users who engage in transactions exceeding $20,000 within a calendar year. So anyone who does over $20,000 worth of transactions on Kraken in America now, Kraken will have to give that information to the IRS, and this was something that was given by court ruling in the District of Carolina. Was ordered crypto exchanges Kraken to turn over account and transaction information to the Internal Revenue Services (IRS). The agency said it needed the information to determine if any of the exchange's users have underreported their taxes. So, as per the order issued on June 30th. Kraken is required to provide details of users who engage in transactions over $20,000 in a calendar year, including names, real and pseudonyms, birthdays, taxpayer identification numbers, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and other various documents. So back in 2020, the IRS submitted a petition to North District of Carolina shortly after Kraken reached settlement with the US SEC that claimed the secretary that claimed the securities law violation related to staking service. And also they were given, they have asked for transactions between 2016 and 2020, but they didn't comply, so they did go to court for that. Now, the reason why this is so significant is because it shows that governments can really push exchanges to do what they wanted to do and force it to give user information, which is one of the reasons why we say, make sure that you don't keep your tokens on exchanges. They are a centralized exchange. They are centralized, meaning there's one company behind them and they can be forced to do things that they may or may not want to do. Moving over to our market update, and we can see here that the crypto bubbles for the past week, we've seen a sea of green and red. What if this comes up? Waiting, there we go. So we're seeing a sea of mainly green and some red happening, and this is taking its time to load. You can see a lot of the crypto has been pumping over the past week. The altcoin market is starting to heat up. We're starting to see a lot of the altcoins pumping at the moment. So it's starting to be a bit of altcoin season, which we'll see in very soon. Next up, we've got the Coin 360, and what we're seeing here with Bitcoin, what's happening over the past 24 hours. Come on, load up. There's something wrong with my internet today. So Bitcoin is just about to reach 31,000. It's at $30,988.87. Can Bitcoin reach that 31,000? It still has a dominance of 48.93, so it still has a very, very strong dominance. Ethereum is also pumping a little bit at 1953, and we're starting to see, as I said, some of the other cryptos start to go to green because of the pump with Bitcoin. And as you guys know, Bitcoin usually leads the market, and then the altcoin market trails behind. So it's important for people to really understand that. Next up, Fear and Greed Index. And what we're seeing right now, we are in 64 greed. So we're moving into that greed zone. More and more people are very, very enthusiastic and greedy about crypto. That usually means that for me, whenever we go to high greed, it means that the market's overheating and there could potentially be a correction on its way. So as Warren Buffett says, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. Now, for me, I just stack Bitcoin and I just keep doing that. I have no intention of selling. So this doesn't really affect me that much because for me, this is a long-term investment. All right, next up, let's look at Twitter highlights and see what's going on over in Twitter. And first up, we've got Alex. Come on. There's something wrong with my internet today, guys. I'm really, really sorry about this. Okay, so Alex Gladstone says a decentralized currency obviously would never suspend key services in countries like Venezuela. So the reason for this is because what we're seeing, the Sam Altman-backed crypto company Reserve found a foothold in Venezuela with around 500,000 users by offering a stablecoin as a hedge against inflation. Now they are suspending key services across South America, although it hopes to return soon. So we can see this here from the Fortune magazine. Regulatory headwinds force Sam Altman back to stablecoin reserves to halt services in Venezuela. So it's interesting because obviously one of the things that we are very, very passionate about here is making sure we have a decentralized currencies where no one has control over it. This is the ethos of Bitcoin. This is the ethos of crypto, is that if you own the keys and no one can control it. However, when people get tricked into things like this, thinking that this is a crypto, but it's not, it's usually centralized and someone is behind it, this is no different than CBDCs. When one company or one person is behind the crypto or the project, then you know they can do whatever they want with it. And this is one of the things that, that is important for people to learn about crypto and understand the true essence, the true ethos of crypto, and really understand how it works and what is a good project and what's a bad project. You can only really do that through learning, understanding that. Personally, I would not have invested in a stable coin that's so centralized, especially if a company is being unregulated. We've seen a lot of this happen over the bear market with BUSD, UST last year. What was the other one? USDC. A lot of these centralized stable coins have had their share of problems. The only one that has actually come out, where although there's been a lot of negative talk about it over the past couple of years, has been USDT. Now, even though USDT is a centralized exchange, is a centralized cryptocurrency or stablecoin, I should say, the thing with USDT, it is in the Cayman Islands, so it's outside the reach of most jurisdictions and outside the reach of most countries, and they have a pretty lax laws over there. This is why USDT has been really, really moving forward and really growing over the bear market, because people have realized that USDT is, it holds US dollar reserves. It's also holding Bitcoin. It's very in on the ethos of decentralization and not having control over it. And this has actually allowed it to shine over the last 12 months or so. Moving over to one of my favorite geopolitical commentators, S.L. Kansan. This guy's an Indian guy out of India, obviously. And he does a lot of different tweets about what's happening around the world. And in this tweet, which I saw a couple of days ago, or yesterday, I think it was, he actually talks about how the US or the EU's economy was 10% larger than that of the US in 2008. And since then, it is now the US economy is 50% larger than the EU. So the Europe has been Japanified, as he calls it. And he goes, the real estate bubble was subprime mortgage crisis from Wall Street, which pulled Europe into a scam. Europe never recovered from the great financial crisis. Technology, the US has made sure that Europe never develops alternatives to the likes of Google, Facebook, and Amazon, e-commerce and cloud computing, Apple, etc. The number of European companies in the global Fortune 500 list has dropped dramatically as well. The US bombed countries and forced Europe to accept millions of refugees from Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Somalia. The proxy war with Russia has forced Europe to become dependent on US energy. And the biggest culprit is the ruling class of Europe. So what he's talking about is showing how Europe has actually been on the decline and has actually been under an economic war from the US, showing that over the last 10 or 14 years or so, the US has grown much, much greater than the EU. And this is because of everything that they've done with quantitative easing, as well as reducing or stopping the EU from anything growing with their technology and so forth, and forcing them to take on refugees. This has come as a cost to the European Union and to Europeans in general, because it's slowed down their growth. And as you can see here, the market capitalization of venture-backed companies valued at over $1 billion. You can see here the US is the highest, with China coming in after that, and the EU doesn't have much. So interesting to see what's happening over there in Europe. And if you are in France, stay safe, guys. We are thinking of you and hope it all gets resolved very, very soon. Last but not least, in the Twitter highlights, we have a tweet from Willy Woo, and he goes, what would the price do if these guys put 5% of ANU, so the money that they have basically, into Bitcoin? My calculations estimate a $310,000 Bitcoin. So all of these companies have actually now filed for a Bitcoin ETF. BlackRock, Fidelity, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, BNI Mellon, Invesco, Bank of America. Combined, these guys have $27 trillion under management. Now, if they put just 5% of that $27 trillion into the Bitcoin ETF, the Bitcoin price can range between $128,000 to $398,000. And this is just from these guys bringing an ETF, not the full bull market, not countries taking on Bitcoin as a legal tender, not the retail market coming back in. So we are actually, if these guys ETF does come in, now obviously they may not pull 5%, but this is a hypothetical question. But these guys coming into market with an ETF is going to bring a lot of money into Bitcoin and really increase its market cap, and can really push Bitcoin to some new all-time highs. Now, we've been saying that in the next 12 to 24 months, after the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin could reach up to $300,000 or $400,000 before it peaks and crashes again, which is what it usually does. And that's part of the Bitcoin market cycle. And if you're doing the right thing, playing the game right from now, you could be making generational and life-changing wealth in the next couple of years. So if you are out there listening and you do want to find out more how you can do that, we do have our Future of Money event coming up on the 3rd of August, which is just about a month from now. I will be promoting this and talking about this more and more as we get closer. But get onto the link, breakoutnow.co/future of money, and just register for the event, and we'll send you guys reminders when it gets closer to that. All right, last but not least, today we have our adoption highlights. And first up, we've got crypto ATM firm Bitcoin Depot will go public on Nasdaq starting July 3rd. So that's today in America, yesterday for us, but basically it'll be happening today. The special purpose acquisition company deal, first reported in August 2020, cost $885 million and expected to allow investors exposure to Bitcoin Depot's common stock. So Bitcoin Depot is an ATM company. They've got about 9,000 ATMs across America, and now they're going to be launching on the public stock market, which means people can buy shares in that and get access to their stock, which gives them exposure to Bitcoin. This is pretty big news because Bitcoin ATMs will become pretty popular. I actually just got a message the other day that there's one in my local area. I haven't actually seen it yet, but I'm definitely going to go check it out over the weekend and see what the fuss is all about and how they work. Because obviously with the banks cracking down on crypto onboarding, we need more and more of this stuff. So it's exciting to see that the adoption of Bitcoin is growing, and more companies are going public with Bitcoin companies going public. Next up, we have Hong Kong launches a task force to promote blockchain initiatives and development. So Hong Kong's local government on Friday announced the formation of the task force on promoting Web3 development, citing the potential benefits of many industries of the low cost, transparent, and decentralized internet. My internet is so bad, guys. I'm so sorry. The group will be chaired by the city's financial security, Paul Chan, according to the government press release on June 30th. So basically, in Hong Kong, what they're doing now, they're launching task force. They're really been pushing to attract crypto businesses and Web3 businesses over to Hong Kong. They started giving out VAS, which is virtual asset services licenses, to exchanges and so forth. They've been pushing their banks to accept crypto exchanges as customers and Web3 businesses as customers. So they're really pushing to attract a lot of crypto and Web3 businesses there. So, and they're investing into this. We've been speaking about this quite a lot lately. Almost every single week we're seeing something new coming out of this. So well done to Hong Kong. I think they're going to attract a lot of great people to their country, or their city, I should say. Last but not least, this is actually pretty big news if you are a Cardano holder, which I am. It's one of my biggest holdings. I love Cardano. $45 billion company Vodafone partners with Cardano to launch one of the world's biggest NFT collections. Can Cardano hit 35 cents? Report. So Vodafone Deutschland, a subsidiary of telecom giant Vodafone, plans to release a non-fungible token collection on the Cardano blockchain. The partnership brings mainstream attention to Cardano, showing its capabilities and attracting more businesses and developers to the platform. So Vodafone, as you guys know, is one of the largest telecommunication companies in the world, and they have now struck a deal with Cardano in Germany, or Deutschland, so with Germany. So in Germany, they've done a deal with them where they're going to launch a major NFT collection for Vodafone, and they're doing that deal with Cardano. Now, why this is good? Because it solidifies Cardano's future. It shows that Cardano, the blockchain, can actually do a lot of things. Some of the things that people spoke about Cardano in the last bull market is that it doesn't have a lot of functionality. It didn't have smart contracts. So a lot of the things that were available on Ethereum, Cardano couldn't match it. And then we've had everything that's happened over the bull market, over the bear market with Ethereum, with Solana. Cardano is still one of the highest, one of the top 10 blockchains. And I truly believe in the future Cardano. It could actually go to about $10 in the next bull market and so forth. So, but in this article, you're saying that this one move could actually push it from 28 cents to 35 cents in the coming days. That's it for me, guys. That's all from the news, adoption highlight, and the news highlights, the Twitter highlights, adoption highlights, and market update. I would love to see you guys on Friday afternoon, where I come back and give you guys the next update of what's happening in the next few days. That's it from me, and as always, stay crypto and peace out. Bye.